the hell was I doing? Hey, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. Hello, everyone. I am the one, the only, the truest Lord Pancake. Except no substitutes, or else they'll just stick you on a server full of monsters and not give you any ammo. So, what are we talking about today, you ask? Why, we are talking about The Evil Within 2. Unsurprisingly, the sequel to The Evil Within 1 that just recently came out. It's $60 right now on the Steam store. You can also get it for Xbox One, as well as PS4 or PS4 Pro, or an Xbox One Plus -5, or whatever the hell the next system they're coming out with is called. And we're going to take a look at it and see what it's got, see if it's a worthy successor to the original, see if it's actually any fun to play, and talk a little bit about the undead rotting elephant in the room, that is the open world environment change that they made to it. Is it good? Is it horrible? Does it make baby Jeebus cry? Well, let's find out. So we're going to go ahead and load up here. And this is being played through on a New Game Plus, because I did play all the way through the game before I started doing the review here as a responsible games journalist who isn't scared of video games would do. And you're probably going to notice a little bit of a difference in this review than my previous reviews. I was making it way too hard on myself by trying to do everything in one take, which probably anyone would have figured out. So I'm going to try. You might notice some odd pauses and some jumps back and forth in places in the video, but that's just for the purposes of pacing. So anyway, let's get right down to it. First thing you're going to notice is my video seems a little choppy with a little low frame rate. NVIDIA drivers specifically seem to have an issue with this game, especially on PC. Now, my PC is pretty old, so that's a huge part of it. But there is a frame rate issue on the PC version, just a fair warning. But and that is something that hopefully will get patched through. Sorry. But anyway, first thing you're going to notice is graphically the game, I mean, it doesn't in any way look bad. I know some people are saying, oh, it's not 8000K at 320 frames per millisecond or graphics or crap like that. But you know what? I mean, it looks good. The textures are really nice. The environments are well designed. Sebastien here looks a little bit better than he did in the previous game. Though maybe a little more world-worn, in my opinion. But everything's functional, you know, the lighting is pretty good. Play with our flashlight a little bit there to show you there. And atmosphere seems to work really well. It definitely feels like a horror game. Atmosphere definitely matches with everything that you're going through. So that's good. So yeah, visually everything seems to pop really, really well. Monster design's a little bit on the limited side, I will say that. It's mostly going to be the same handful of enemies throughout the entire game. And that's a little bit lame. The bosses, I think, look really, really cool.
Looks pretty far away, but it's the only lead I've got.
I mean, they're maybe not quite as cool as the ones in the first game, but this is a markedly different game than the previous title. In fact, there's a lot of people who say it doesn't even feel like it's an Evil Within game because it's so different than the previous title. And that's a valid argument, but at the same time, the Evil Within was one game. It wasn't like a full-fledged series. The differences between the chapters may actually be entirely the intent of the Evil Within. We don't know that yet. If we get a third one, which
if it keeps breaking apart like this, there won't be any union to search.
I think would be nice, though that is not a comment on the ending of the game, just so you know. I don't plan to give it away, but that does lead us to our next section, which is going to be story. Story-wise, I would say I like the game. I mean, the story basically is, you know, Sebastien, it's been about 3 years since the incident at Beacon, which is the first Evil Within game, and his life has kind of gone to shit. No one believed him in this department about what happened. Everybody thinks, you know, thought he just kind of went off his nut. And he basically has kind of decided to pickle himself as a result. And someone from the previous game, Kidman, which you can find this all out in like the opening moments of the game, so it's not really giving anything away, finds him in a bar and tells him, hey, you know your daughter who you thought died? Well, guess what? She's not dead. We kidnapped her and made her the new core of the latest STEM system. Yeah. Obviously not too pleased about that, but she presents him with an opportunity to rescue his daughter. Because apparently something has gone wrong, and the company who caused all the problems in the first place seemed to think Sebastien would be good at getting in there and fixing it. So he's given an opportunity to go in there and rescue his daughter. And of course you come in and you find like the world's gone to shit and there are monsters everywhere and all of that endless goodness. Hooray! And the story progresses from there. Your interactions with other people that are trapped, your interactions with other characters in the game, other villains in the game, they seem pretty well. The voice acting is still, you know, a little survival horror-y. It suffers from that kind of cheesy effect survival horror games tend to have in their voice acting, but I think it goes really, really well. I very much enjoyed it. I personally found the story to be satisfying and the ending to be extremely satisfying. So that is one thing I will tell you. The story alone makes it worth at least one playthrough. Okay, so next aspect to talk about is gameplay. So now there is a much bigger stealth element in the game than in the previous game. And some stuff has also been removed. Things like you no longer have to burn corpses or anything like that. You leave dead things, they stay dead. Which is kind of a little disappointing. I actually kind of like that aspect of the original game. But instead they've really, really bulked the stealth up. I mean, you still have the weapons and so forth like you had from the previous one. And of course the crossbow makes a triumphant return. But for the most part, it feels like a lot of the combat has been simplified and made considerably easier than the previous game, which is definitely going to be a turnoff for some people, especially in the boss fights. I mean, I defeated 2 bosses that had a major build-up just with the handgun. And it wasn't even that I was low on ammo for any of my other weapons. I was just trying to get the handgun to last. I just tend to use a handgun as a first resort to save on my specialized ammo because I don't like to blow through all of my ammo in one shot. But now I'll try and demonstrate like one of the things you can do like with stealth that does make the game a lot easier. Like I'm purposely going to get myself seen by these guys. Hello, hello, hello. Let's all be friends. So they're going to be coming after me. Okay, and I wasn't actually running there. So look, I'm surrounded by enemies here, right? You would think that would pretty much be a death sentence in the first game. But if I just do a little bit of running and go up in these bushes here, guess what? Yeah, that's all it takes to lose these guys. And they're probably going to give up the hunt. Yeah, they've already given up the hunt, because that eye that you saw on the top of the screen, that's an indication of whether or not they're looking for me, their level of interest. The little squinty eye means they're looking. The one that has a little sound waves on the side of it means they can hear me. And the open eye means they've seen me and they're actively pursuing. Like I can grab do this multiple times to finish them all off with stealth kill, which is great for conserving ammo. And one of the reasons why my first playthrough probably took me 19 hours is because I stealthed through most of my combat, which definitely cost a lot of time, but I never ran out of ammo in a boss fight. So I can say that. But yeah, you can definitely see why like that level of ease. I mean, I know these are like super basic enemies, but you don't really encounter enemies that force you to change your tactics all that much in the game. And let's see, let me try and show you off some of the gunplay. Like a couple of weapons you can get is like the double-barreled shotgun here. And that always can make quick work of them. But yes, I am playing fast and loose with my ammo this time, by the way, because this is just my review playthrough section of the game. I'm probably not going to actually use this for in an actual full playthrough. So anything I do here doesn't matter. Now, next aspect to talk about is the open worldiness of the title. And I know this is something that got a lot of controversy and flack. But the nice thing about the open world aspects of the game is it's not an intrusive and annoying open world design. The map isn't so massively large that traveling from point A to point B becomes burdensome. You're not hit with a ton of side quests. Mostly they're side quests that feel relevant to like what's going on. It's like, hey, I need supplies. Well, you can check out these places and maybe you'll get some supplies. Or you'll encounter a player who's like, or an NPC rather, player. An NPC who says, oh, well, hey, you know, I know where you can get, I need to find a way to get out of here, and if you help me figure this out, I'll help you, you know, get either more supplies, or I'll show you how to use my escape route for when you're ready to go, and things like that. Quests that make sense. Heck, one of the side quests I discovered just exploring the environment and going into every nook and cranny like I like to do in these games. And that is another nice thing. Exploration always feels very much like it's rewarded. Like this guy also, oh, I think I've already got a hatchet. Okay. Like, you know, I pop in this little alley here and I get a fuse, which is used for the, well, it's called Warden's crossbow this time around. It's used for the Electrovolt cartridges there and things like that. Usually everywhere you look or decide to go in the game, you're going to find a few things that help you out. I mean, it might just be weapon parts and little things that help you with your crafting. It might be a statue with a key that lets you open up some of the lock boxes because the safes are back in this game. But definitely the exploration feels rewarding. It doesn't feel like you're going to lead yourself into situations where you're completely screwed either. And I think that might also be part of why it's so easy to lose the enemies that chase you, is to encourage exploration. So that way, if you do stumble into an area with like 4 or 5 of those little guys, you're not all of a sudden completely screwed. You don't feel punished for exploration. It makes exploration a little less of a risk, a little less of a give and take, to help encourage people to do it as much as possible. And I can see that compromise. Also, it always has really sucked, especially in stealth games where you get spotted by one enemy and in your attempts to flee, you end up attracting like 30 more goddamn enemies. So they were able to avoid that. So next thing to look at is going to be the crafting system. And oh, I forgot. It's actually in the hallway, not inside, not actually fully into the safe house. Okay. So once again, mirrors are a part of the game, but instead of taking you straight to the hospital-like area, they actually take you to Sebastian's office, where you'll find a few little things, like your cat Larry. I don't know if that's actually the name of the cat, but that's what I named him. And a slide projector, which is part of a side quest. Really cool part about that side quest is your radio, you will find it through indications, like indications on the map and things like that, but I discovered it just by exploring. I just saw a house I could go into, and that's when I stumbled upon it. But anyway, the crafting system. So gone is the green gel for everything system as far as like upgrades and things like that. For weapons upgrades, now you're going to primarily be using weapons parts, which you will find literally everywhere. You will find a ton of weapon parts without even having to try. And so each weapon usually has 4 areas to upgrade: firepower, reload time, rate of fire, and ammo capacity. Only real exception is the crossbow, which has 1 primary, which is range, and then everything else is each individual bolt that you can upgrade on its own, depending on your playstyle or how you want to use them, which can be really, really cool. And along with like the basic upgrades, the only other thing you really need are the high grade weapons parts, which are like, they just take you to like the next tier of possible upgrades for your weapons. You find them around, not that hard to find. I was not able to fully upgrade a single weapon in every category, but that might have just been my overlooking things. So it could be entirely possible within the game. Now crafting is, I mean, it's mostly pretty simple. Herbs will let you craft medical kits and things like that. And gunpowder is going to be your primary crafting ingredients. It's used in everything from bullets to crossbow bolts, which doesn't make a whole ton of sense to me. I mean, I can understand it in the explosive bolt, but for like the shock bolt and smoke bolts and things like that, it to me doesn't make a whole ton of sense that you need gunpowder. Maybe for the smoke bolt I could see as well. But for like the freezing bolt and things like that, that just seems a little odd. The only thing that doesn't seem to require gunpowder is your basic harpoon bolt. But I guess they just wanted to like simplify it as much as possible. But it would have been nice to see a little bit more of a more logical crafting system with that. Now, where you're going to be doing your crafting is primarily at workbenches. You do find them throughout the open world. You will also almost always find one at a safe house. If it's not immediately in the safe house, you will have one in the mirror realm at your office. You can craft in the regular world as well via your menu here, but everything costs more when you craft there. So it's definitely behooves you to save your crafting for when you're here. Next up is going to be the actual green goo upgrades, which have returned, but they are just now specialized specifically to Sebastien. And we do have actually a little tiny cutscene to go through. Not even a cutscene, a little tiny interaction to go through here with our old friend the nurse, who does return from the first game.
Some keys open doors of perception, but this isn't one of them. This one is more mundane, but still useful. Go on. Open one. Its contents are better off in your hands than locked away in here.
So back out of that so I can show you the system here. So you have 5 primary categories to upgrade in the game, which is health, athleticism, recovery, stealth, and combat. If you specialize, you will easily be able to max out any of these trees in your playthrough, but it is going to come with a compromise. Like stealth will give you the abilities to things like you'll move faster when you're stealth, and your regular footsteps will be silenter, and things like that. Silenter will be a lot quieter. There's even one that bumps up your ability to do stealth kills and things like that, which is actually really cool. Then, like, health does, what you'd expect from health. It increases your maximum health. It increases the speed that like, last near dead thing like you had in the first game, where you regenerate a little tiny bit of health if you're still alive when you get down to low health. It increases the regeneration speed of that. Combat does things like the crosshairs aren't going to move as much when you're shooting, and there is even a full tier bullet time thing that you can get with it, which is really cool. That's going to be the next upgrade for that for me. Recovery is how many health items and things like that. How much health you get from health items. There we go. And things like automatically use them, and then quick recovery increases the regeneration from near death, which is nice. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty basic, but it does help you build your character and craft them a little bit more to your play style. And that is basically the crafting system, kind of in a nutshell as well. Okay, so those are my thoughts on The Evil Within 2. I think they could use a little bit of an improvement in the challenge on gameplay. I think the bosses could definitely have been more challenging. I think graphically it looks perfectly fine. I like some of the changes they made between this and the first one, though I do wish they would have kept some of the neater aspects of it, like the need to like burn enemies and things like that. I think that would have been an added challenge, especially since there's an enemy later on that is actually configured from piles of bodies that you find on the ground. I think it would have been really cool to be able to counteract that by burning the bodies. That would have been cool, but overall I think it is a very good game. I think it's worthy of your playtime. Worth $60? That's debatable. Because if you're a fan of survival horror, you're not going to find this game to be all that scary. If you're a fan of the first Evil Within, there's definitely going to be differences that you may not like. So for $60, I would say it's really going to be up to you whether or not you want something that's a little less scary, a little more stealth oriented in your horror experience, or if you want to wait for a sale and just so you can play this game and continue on with Sebastian's story. Overall rating wise, I'd give it a 3.5 pancakes out of 5. Still a good game, still worth playing, but maybe not 100% worth the full ticket asking price. But well, there we have it. Okay, well, hey, if you like this video, please make sure you like and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, subscribe anyway. That way you can leave nasty messages on all of my videos whenever they're released. Also, feel free to check me out on Twitch at truestlordpancake.twitch.tv. Other than that, you all have yourself a wonderful day.